Today we're going to be talking about why Bernie Sanders should never really consider a third-party candidacy, much less actually run in the 2020 election as a third-party candidate. So, first of all, this means that someone like an independent who gets on every ballot nationwide or running under another political party, such as the Socialist Political Party, which isn't even known nationwide, but just any other option, the Green Party, which he probably won't run under. If anything, he would most likely run under the Independent Party, but just saying he would probably choose any other political party to run under them if he did choose to run third party. But we're not going to be focusing on that party. We're going to be focusing on why he shouldn't do it and how it would make such a negative implication on the race for Democrats and independents, because it would no longer give them equally a voice, but rather more voice to Republicans. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So let's say the Democrats nominate someone like Cory Booker, and then Bernie Sanders rolls around and says, oh, wow, this is a corporate Democrat. I'm going to run against him in a third-party candidate. Or if, let's say, he loses the primary to someone like Joe Biden, he chooses to run third party. So what that means is let me make sure this is a safe and toss-up map only for right now. Pretty much every state that went Republican back in 2016 would pretty much be Republican. If you look at the margins Bernie got in the primaries, he would definitely be taking a considerable number of voters, and they're really not going to cross over to him. The majority of Democrats are not going to go to him. Especially in a general election, they're most likely going to back the political candidate, and you really don't see a possibility of Trump losing in this scenario because of the fact that someone like Bernie Sanders has chose to run as an independent. It would not be helpful or beneficial to Bernie Sanders because this needs to be said multiple times. Bernie can't win as an independent. He cannot win nationwide as a third-party candidate because he's not being backed by the Democratic Party. When the Democratic Party splits its vote, the Republicans take the majority or they take the plurality, which means they win all of the electoral votes. So there is no way in hell that Bernie Sanders is ever going to get over that 35% threshold with any state besides states like Vermont and Hawaii. I mean, those are the two exceptions. We'll talk about those in just a moment, but those states are probably they're not going to get close. I think Bernie Sanders could I think he could positively, that's not the right word either, but he could just hold them. I mean, he could definitely win those states, but he's not going to win any others. You're not going to see him carry California. The Democratic vote is not enough to split. It's not safe enough to split into his favor. We're probably not going to see a Trump victory in a state like California, but some other states definitely could get competitive. So all the states he won in 2016 would easily be in his column safely. Now we're going to start looking at margins. Let's start filling in the Democratic states that probably aren't going to flip. Illinois, that one was actually pretty close. We'll come back to that one. New York would probably be safely in the Democratic column along with California. Maryland would as well. Bernie Sanders is not liked here. Bernie Sanders candidates are not liked as either. But then when it comes to states like Massachusetts, that one could also get closer. New Jersey would probably be safe. D.C. would easily be safe because Bernie Sanders has pretty much had no chance of winning that D.C. primary. But now we're going into the likely and leaning states. So first of all, Virginia would be probably likely for the GOP. Trump would probably win here 5 to 10% with that Democratic vote split. Colorado included, New Mexico included, Nevada included, New Hampshire included, all of Maine included, just based on the fact that the margins are not enough to give Trump a losing, he won't lose in these states. I mean, if you think about it, these are swing states. So if you even take a very little part of the Democratic vote away, they're going to lose these states. A state like Minnesota, I'm actually going to put safe in Trump's column because Clinton won here by 1.5%. You take away 3% from the Democrats, they lose. And he's going to take away a lot more considering how Minnesota turned out in the Democratic primary. So 355 electoral votes for Trump already. And when it comes to a number of these states, Bernie Sanders really has no chance at winning the presidency as an independent. There is no way Democrats are going to cross over and drop their candidates in swing states such as Florida, the Rust Belt, Ohio, Iowa, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico. The swing states go on and on and on. And we look at these margins that Democrats have previously won by, even in wave election years, like in 2008. Obama didn't safely win states like Colorado. Yes, it was a drastic swing from the Republican Party, but if you take away 25% from the Democrats, he wouldn't have won that election. He would not have won in Michigan. He would not have won in Wisconsin. He would have not have won in Pennsylvania. All states he won by double digits back in 2008 if you take away 25% of the vote, or 20%, or 15%. Okay, if Bernie Sanders is able to take away these primary numbers, these states are not going to become competitive for him. They're going to become safe for the GOP because of the fact that the vote is going to be split so much. Republicans do not like Bernie Sanders. That's something you also need to get through the critical thinking aspect about it, because Republicans are not going to cross over from Trump to Bernie. Yes, he does resonate with some of their issues. Go over to West Virginia. Bernie is like there. But again, these Democrats that voted to him number one in the primary in the exit poll data said they did not want a more progressive president. They voted for him out of spite for Hillary Clinton. And yes, you could also argue he resonates with Trump voters by appealing to what they talk about and what they know, but it doesn't mean he's going to win them. They're not going to sacrifice their values, their Christian values, their capitalistic values in order to go for someone like Bernie Sanders because of what? They agree with him on healthcare. They agree with him on his opposition to Hillary Clinton. That's not how things work anymore. Trump definitely aligns with a number of these Republicans or even independents much more than if they were conflicted between a Democrat and an independent like Bernie Sanders. Let's say Cory Booker, like the one I'm using right now, he goes up on the Democratic side. The independent's like, should I vote for the Democrat or Republican? They no longer have that choice. They have a Democrat, independent, and Republican. And when they think about it, they're probably not going to – they're going to see the faults of Bernie Sanders. They're going to see the faults of the Democratic Party, and Trump's going to seem like a godsend compared to both of them because they're going to be too focused tearing each other down that they're not going to focus enough on Trump. Or if they focus too much on Trump, Trump will bash one, and then that one will go down, but they probably won't be lining up with the other. The point is that they need an option of the lesser of two evils. America's never going to survive on a multi-party system because we can never agree on one thing. That's why the two-party system is favored, and that's why it's been in place for such a long time. Don't you think America would have had a point where we would have instituted a third-party or four-party system or five-party system as we see in things like a parliamentary election? We don't see that in America because that's not how things are. As Americans, as responsible adults, I cannot speak on that, but I'm saying as a responsible adult, you have to make the decision between two people. You're not going to give a field of candidates of 13 candidates and you're going to give them all viable options, and they're not going to have a chance at winning the election. The reason why people vote in the two-party system is because they are confined to party nominees, and party nominees are going to be decided between one or the other. Adding a third party would prompt one political party with drastic views from the other to pretty much just run up the map. And that's why it's been avoided for such a long time. America's just not ready for that, and they probably will never be because of how partisan we've gotten in politics. And, I'm getting a little off topic here, Okay, that's an understatement. But the point still needs to be made. When we're talking about partisan politics, you can't add a third party in and expect them to win. It's just not how things work anymore. Ross Perot was the last viable candidate and the last person who could actually win when it came to a presidential election. And even if he got a majority in the popular vote, he probably wouldn't have won the Electoral College. That would have probably come from conservative population centers, and it probably still wouldn't have been enough to push him over that 270 mark because of the vote splitting. Ross Perot definitely did take a little bit more from Republicans than Democrats, but he probably made such a negative implication on both. But eventually he dropped out. Then he re-entered the race back in 92, and then he ran in 96. I think his peak year was 92, most definitely, but it didn't make enough of an implication. Bernie Sanders could actually, because of the fact that he did so well in the Democratic primary with little name recognition in the beginning, and the damage that he could cause to the Democratic Party if he did decide to run. And why, going off on that note, he would carry Vermont, he would carry Hawaii, and that would put the Democrats 7 electoral votes a lot less away from 270. And it doesn't seem like a lot now, but if this election actually did get close, which it won't, those 7 electoral votes could matter. Illinois, I see narrowly going to the Democrats, very narrowly. I do see it getting a little bit close. Massachusetts as well, going to the Democrats. Rhode Island, narrowly going to the Democrats, along with Connecticut. I still see these states as mildly staying in the Democratic column. When it comes to Washington and Oregon, these ones are probably going to be narrow margins, okay? Trump definitely has a very good shot at carrying a number of these states if he just tries hard enough, which is why Bernie Sanders in general, he's going to cause damage to the Democratic Party. He's going to prop up the Republican Party. And yes, he's a good candidate on his own, and yes, he should run in the Democratic Party. Just switch your party affiliation and boom, you're ready to go, which does make sense, by the way. You should be under the political party you're running under unless you think you can win otherwise. But the Democrats would probably garner less than 176 electoral votes. This is being very generous to them. I possibly could have flipped Washington, Oregon, Massachusetts, as crazy as it sounds, Rhode Island, Connecticut. These states could have been flipped, but I'm not going to because that would just be extremely harsh towards the Democrats. And I think the point was already made enough, seeing a solid red Rust Belt and flipped states like Virginia, Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada and New Hampshire. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'm sorry for getting a little bit off topic. I'm sorry for uploading so late. It's 10:04 p.m. right now on the East Coast, but comment down suggestions below as usual. Again, I had a very busy day. School ends next Wednesday. Still in school, by the way. So yeah, I probably expect a lot more uploads then. I don't think I ever recorded my 10,000 subscriber special, and I probably won't be able to unless I do a vlog on some other day. But I really should have done it during school. I should have done it the day I won the vice presidency. But anyways, again, getting off topic. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.